Live from tape, pre-recorded at our studios in Austin, Texas and Portland, Oregon, it's Syndicated with Lesley and Ben. Hey everyone, I'm the Ben of that.
I'm the Lesley. This is a twice-monthly podcast about television, genre, and storytelling, in which we watch an episode of a show and explore the history of television, one episode at a time.
And for that, we're joined today by our dear friend, Rachel Collins. Rachel, hello.
Hi, how are you guys?
I'm doing just fine.
Living the dream.
We're stuck here at this army base, and we've had nothing to do for the past couple of days, so we decided to watch MASH together. It's a fucking faulty premise, I know.
It's cute though.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty cute show. For being like weirdly sexist a lot, and then also a weird show.
Also, arguably whitewashing the Korean War.
Well, yeah, no,
it's got a lot of layers.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of layers.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, since we're just bringing up its faults.
I mean, anything involving the U.S. military does have to get signed off by the U.S. military, so you can't be too critical. But this show is definitely not pro-military by and large.
No, solidly anti-war.
Yeah.
We'll obviously get into that, but first things first, I do have a question for you. Since we're talking about workplace comedies, which I guess fall under the very broader definition of sitcoms in general. If you were a sitcom character, what kind of sitcom character would you be, and what would be your on-screen entrance?
The on-screen entrance for sitcoms that I can really just think of off the top of my dome is the intro setup from Dick Van Dyke, or the intro setup to Parks and Rec, where it's just kind of like just a little vignette of you doing something. My vignette would probably be me falling over something, which is, like a Dick Van Dyke bit. But I wouldn't be falling over an ottoman. I would be falling over my platform Crocs that I would wear in every episode.
Got to have a character quirk.
Yeah,
and of course, looking up to camera, flashing the smile, and be like,
right?
I'm fine.
Oh well.
Yeah. Oh, my ankle.
We'll find this episode's Kramer one day. The show's Kramer, someone who just breaks down the door when they enter.
I feel like falling over my own ridiculous shoes is maybe like a femme Kramer.
I'll buy that. If you're just now tuning in, we're talking about MASH, or as I've been told to pronounce it, Masterix, Asterix, Asterix, Asterix.
Asterix.
The long-lived 11-season show about the military staff of the fictionalized 4077th Army Hospital during the Korean War. The show ran on CBS from 1972 to 1983 and featured a revolving cast of characters, something we'll be discussing a little bit later down the line.
Yeah, the show's production is actually pretty complicated. MASH was originally a novel by Richard Hooker, which was a pseudonym used by an actual former Army surgeon, which then got adapted into a dark comedy film by Robert Altman. It was featuring Donald Sutherland, Elliot Gould, Gary Berghoff. A sequel to film was attempted, but during production they switched gears to television. While
characters like Tracker John, Captain Hawkeye Pierce, Radar O'Reilly, and other characters appeared in both versions of the story, only Gary Berghoff, who plays Radar, reprised his role from big screen to small screen. Every other character was recast.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of the cast, of course, the show features Alan Alda in the main role of a huge ensemble cast. Loretta Swit was Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan. Wayne Rogers is Trapper John. Gary Berghoff is mentioned as Radar. William Christopher as Father Mulcahy, who does actually not feature prominently in this episode that we're going to be discussing, and Larry Linville as Frank Burns.
Plenty of other cast members came later down the line, of course, but we're kind of focusing on the people that were specifically in this episode. Later people would be popping up in later seasons. Listing the other achievements and credits of these actors, like we've done on other shows. Obviously, if you're listening in order, we just finished Party Down, in which case Adam Scott's most notable role is not from Party Down, it's from Parks and Recreation. That's kind of not the case with this show, because for many of these actors, MASH was the thing they were known for. Most of these character actors followed up their MASH career with a series of one-episode character roles. Hell, I'm just looking at Wayne Rogers' Wikipedia page, who plays Trapper, and it literally just says early work, MASH, post-MASH work. Mm-hmm. And that is pretty much the case for everyone who was on the show, Alan Alda included, except that Alan Alda went on to what was the? Sorry, Rachel, what's the show?
New Scientific American Frontiers, the PBS science education show. And then he played Jack Donaghy's dad on 30 Rock.
Okay.
And he was, I want to say, a senator in some seasons of The West Wing, a show I never watched.
That's right.
Yeah. He did a bunch more TV stuff. Dad in some fairly recent movie or somebody's lawyer. Oh, he was in the, what's the thing with the Kylo Ren guy divorcing the ScarJo?
Oh, yeah, Marriage Story.
Yeah, he was a lawyer in Marriage Story.
That's right.
Sorry,
Good
the
for him.
Kylo Ren guy.
The Kylo
in
Ren
ScarJo.
guy where he's married to ScarJo, whatever.
Yeah, you know. Well, anyways, Hawkeye was in that.
Oh, good. Wow, Hawkeye and Black Widow in the same movie.
Amazing.
Oh, wah,
You know, the superior Hawkeye.
yes.
Having not a ton of context about this show. Oh, no, sorry, agreed. Having not a ton of context about this show, but being a huge Marvel Comics person, anytime I heard anybody ever refer to Hawkeye, I'm like, surely they mean the Marvel Comics character. This was, by the way, even before Thor in 2010 or whatever.
Yeah.
I was just
that
like,
the
yeah,
first
surely they
time?
mean the Marvel Comics character.
Was that the first time that Hawkeye shows up in the MCU? Is in Thor?
In Thor? Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't pay any attention to Hawkeye. I'm gonna be super serious. Like, I
Yeah.
just don't care.
Yeah, remember Thor's trying to break out of that like impromptu kind of plastic army base that's around Mjolnir? And they're like,
Yes.
get him, Agent Barton. And this dude grabs a bow and tries to shoot him out of the sky.
Okay. I need to rewatch those movies.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I remember seeing that in theaters and being like, Agent Barton? And he has a bow? That can only be Hawkeye. Like, no shit, that's Hawkeye.
You're like, but he can hear. Anyway, all right, we're talking about this, back to MASH. And I believe it's my turn now. The show underwent several cast changes over the course of its run. Only Alan Alda's Hawkeye and Loretta Swit as Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan stayed on for the entire show for all 11 seasons. Characters in this episode, like Trapper, Radar, Blake, and Burns, only lasted until about the show's midpoint, while other characters found their status within the show decreased, actually, from main to recurring roles in later seasons.
Yeah, the MASH Wikipedia page, which is enormously complicated, actually, has a handy
It's on for
little
11
chart.
seasons, Ben. It was on for it was like 260 some odd episodes.
Yeah, and it's an important piece of American culture.
Yeah,
Weirdly, they wrote a lot about it.
imagine that. Oh boy.
Oh, yeah, this is the timeline graph.
Yeah, has an excellent chart showing.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, and look, we mentioned half of these characters. For the listener, this what is this, like 12 lines? No, a little more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
15.
Yeah, it shows 15 people's timelines. This is literally the kind of like graph that like people post for like bands.
I
When
was
the band's
literally about to
lineup
say
change.
that. I was like, this looks like band personnel changes through the years.
Yeah. Oh, in 2003 they got a new bassist, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Literally, I can't think of a more complicated chart than, I don't know, like the Beach Boys probably. But yeah, anyway, so literally the only two straight blue lines on this are blue meaning a regular cast member, are Hawkeye Pierce and Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan. Everyone else, either including Trapper John and Blake, who we just mentioned, like only go on for like 3 seasons. Rachel, I think you had some insight into that.
Yeah, basically, at the transition from season 3 to season 4, I did a little bit more research, and it turns out a lot of people stopped getting along with Alan Alda as he was, getting more involved in like the direction and production and writing side of things, and like really making this his show. So let's see. You have Henry Blake, the actor that played Henry Blake, left. As well as the actor that played Trapper John left to try and like do other TV stuff, or just other stuff in general. And then that led to the introduction of two other characters. The commanding officer of Sherman Potter, played by, what's his name, is an old cowboy actor, and I need to scroll up because now I don't remember his name all of a sudden.
Harry Morgan.
Yeah, Harry Morgan. I think also he did like some spy movies too. And then B.J. Honeycutt, played by Mike Farrell, who's like those are really they were in more seasons of the show, but those two characters go through a lot more kind of like growth and development as people throughout the series, more than I think they allowed like Henry Blake or Trapper John to do, as far as like just general shit to do and interests. Then towards the later seasons, you get David Ogden Stiers as Charles Emerson Winchester III, who is a great just rich New England blowhard as a foil to Alan Alda's character. Yeah, and B.J. Honeycutt.
Harry Morgan looks like you might also know from Dragnet.
I also wanted to, just a quick aside about Harry Morgan. I was very curious about his other work, and so I went to his Wikipedia page, and I noticed he co-starred with Hal Linden in some show called Black's Magic, about a magician who doubled as a detective solving crimes.
Oh, Lesley.
I'm going to need to watch that, obviously. I can't believe I haven't yet. I've never even heard of it, but I'm super jazzed about whatever might be in my future.
That's the most substantial pile of Lesley bait I've ever seen.
Right? Like, I'm just sitting here, like, vibrating, just reading this Wikipedia article. Rachel's talking about relevant stuff, like what we're supposed to be discussing on this show tonight. Meanwhile, I'm just like, I gotta know more about this fucking magician detective guy. But anyway.
No, unfortunately, it looks like that series only did 14 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how to find something that would be that, like, obscure and not weird, like Gen X millennial bait, like Fish Police or Capital Critters.
Yeah, so it looks like we can chalk up a lot of that stuff to creative differences, because as you've mentioned, it became more of Alan Alda's show as he moved into kind of a producer and writer role. And it looks like the new direction of that show didn't really vibe with people, as there was a substantial shift from comedy toward kind of well, I mean, it starts as a dark comedy and ends as a dark comedy, but the ratio between those two definitely seems to have fluctuated.
Yeah, no, you can definitely tell that, like, it really feels like Alan Alda has more of, like, this kind of, like, 1980s liberal kind of, blue dog Democrat anti-war stance in it, like, kind of that boomer liberal setup. So you get, like, very ham-handed episodes about, war and racism and, sexism that are just, like, yeah, bud, I get it. There's also All in the Family that does this in a different way, and I guess it's good that you're doing this in this war context. But oh gosh, I don't remember what season it's in, but there is an episode where I want to say the B or C plot is that there is a guy who doesn't want a blood transfusion to come from a black person, and so because they can't really tell, like, the dude is, like, who the blood is from, and also it doesn't fucking matter. After they give this dude a blood transfusion, they, like, put shoe polish and makeup on him to darken his skin, to teach him an important lesson about not being racist. And
so handled with all the tact of that one Star Trek episode where there's the half and half people.
Yeah, yes. They're doing a pretty okay job, I guess, for CBS in the 80s maybe, but just man, guys, come on.
Oh, I hope everyone heard the snark with which I said the word tact.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Isn't there also an episode of the show where, like, a guy dresses up like a woman to prove that he's, like, insane? So that
that's Corporal Maxwell Klinger. That's his whole, like, shtick from season 1 on until he gets promoted. And then when he gets a promotion, I guess he's just there. And he, just wears regular military clothes. But yeah, that was, like, that was the thing Jamie Fargus' character did.
Bonkers.
Yeah.
Oh,
there are other words, but I'm saying bonkers.
Oh, the times.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, to me, it's like, this is somebody that is doing this in the context of the 1950s, filmed in the 1970s and 80s, and trying to use, like, cultural, ideas about, queerness, gayness, gender, as a way to get out. But, like, it kind of goes in the same thing that, oh gosh, why can't I think of it? The Hannibal Lecter movie Silence of the Lambs does, where it's like, you're not really, queer or trans or gay or whatever. And it's like, you're not really the thing, so, you have to stay here and be punished because you're not really the thing. And I was like, that's probably a bad parallel, and I would need to, like, think that out further. But it's
similarly a cultural landmine that's open to multiple interpretations, none of which are great.
Yeah, no, it's definitely to me now reads as like a, you're, no true gender identity set up thing. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Moving on to the episode itself, actually. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's like, and on that note.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a way to segue away from that. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Last but not least, the episode that we watched today was Tuttle, in which Trapper, Hawkeye, and Radar invent a fellow surgeon, seemingly out of thin air and seemingly on a whim, while delivering supplies to a local orphanage.
Love a
When
scam.
some paperwork needs to be filed in Captain Tuttle's name, rumor spreads across the base of Tuttle's achievements, generosity, and character, and everyone rushes to claim that they know the Honorable Captain Tuttle personally. So, before we get into the episode itself, Rachel, I have a very clear question for you. Why MASH? Why did you bring MASH to us on the day of our daughter's wedding?
Why MASH, and why this episode of MASH?
Yes.
This episode of MASH, because it honestly, like, it seemed to be one of the episodes that aged very well, and not one of the episodes that aged well that's also, like, a 2, 3, 4 part kind of deal. Mm-hmm. It also involves something that I deeply enjoy, which is scamming the government. And just, it's a good kind of character introduction, to this round of characters in MASH. As for why MASH, MASH is a show that I have watched my entire life. It was just always on in syndication in the back. Like, it ended the year before I was born. But there were a billion episodes of it, so it was just always on. And so, like, the theme song, Suicide is Painless,
It
was
brings
like
on many changes.
Yeah, no, it was definitely like a weird lullaby point for me. Like, it like let me know that when MASH is on and it's after dinner, it's time for bed. And so that was like how I kind of like structured my day as a kid, was like, when this MASH music is on, it's time to go to bed. And I don't know, it was just always on. I don't think I ever laughed along with the joke in the laugh track, ever in the show. I don't know if I think the show is funny. I think the show is good, maybe? And I don't honestly know if the show is still, like, important or as resonant, as it was, like, 15, 20 years ago. Just because, shows are made differently. Any show involving the military now would have a completely different tone to it. And And yeah, I guess that is my why MASH. Is MASH a weird show about the military? That's definitely about the military.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of the same thoughts while I was watching it, that I know for a fact that this show has been so heavily lauded as one of the greatest television shows of all time. And as I was watching it, I just couldn't help but think about whether or not its relevance has slipped somewhat as we have become more socially aware in our entertainment. However, I was very intrigued by it, and I do think that you're right. This episode was a fantastic introduction. Neither Ben nor I had ever watched MASH, actually. I actually remember that a friend's mother was a big fan of the show, and when I would go to their house as a kid, like you said, it was always on, but I never watched it. It was just going on in the background while I was doing stuff with my friend. So this is the first time that I've sat down and watched an episode, and yeah, this was a great choice because I left that episode knowing who the characters were, getting a good sense of what their personalities were like. It was definitely a scenario of the week kind of situation. It was a very good standalone. It was very lighthearted. It was silly. There wasn't a lot of heavy content to it. So I think it was a great choice. It was a great choice to introduce somebody to this show.
Yeah, for sure. I'm by the way, I like the phrase of kind of like a lullaby show, and I'm trying to think if there was anything in my life that had a similar effect. Maybe it wasn't when I stopped watching something, but when my parents started watching something, that was when I had to shoo myself out of the room.
Yeah, like when something as salacious as Frasier came on, it was not for children.
It's not for children.
Fuck. Well, actually, in that case, it might be Seinfeld for me.
There you go.
Because Seinfeld ran up until the time I was 5 or 6, and that was okay, the adult TV's on. You need to go to bed.
My parents were really bad at that stuff, so I just watched everything. So I don't have a lullaby show because my parents never really sent me to bed when a TV show came on. I think maybe because my parents didn't really watch a lot of TV in general. The house was pretty quiet after a certain time. So I don't know.
But yeah, I'm thinking about relevance, and I'm just thinking I don't know if yes, certainly I'll believe that it's lost a bit of its relevance in the latter in the last 15 years, because I think anti-war criticism has changed a lot in the last 15 years, as we're in a state of currently perpetual warfare since 2004. I just think media about war and as a reflection to war has changed very differently since the Vietnam era.
Well, and then also the way war is done now is, a lot different than it was in the, 1950s, or the 1970s, 80s version of the 1950s.
Right, for sure.
So, that does change, a lot of the tone for it.
Sure.
But
this
also,
anecdote... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, but also no piece of media has as much of a controlling share of the American public's attention anymore, because the audience is so fractured. I mean, any television program that comes out now has a fraction of the ratings of anything that came out 20 years prior and 20 years prior before that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, zeitgeist television doesn't exist anymore. Whatever show you love has, an eighth of what a show in the 80s had.
Yeah. This conversation also is reminding me of the show Rescue Me that starred Dennis Leary, and it was about firefighters post 9/11. So that show was originally supposed to be a comedy about New York City cops and how incompetent they were. And I watched the pilot, and yeah, it was very negative about New York City cops. But then 9/11 happened, and they were like, we can't make this show anymore, so you're going to have to figure something else out. They ended up making a drama about firefighters post 9/11 instead, because the circumstances had changed somewhat. But if you could ever get a chance to watch the pilot of, I can't even remember what the name of the original show was going to be, but it's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, whereas just kind of looking at the, talking about audience fracture, The total audience for the season finale of MASH, which was a 2.5-hour episode, was 121.6 million.
Whoa!
So more than the Super Bowl, more than the Roots miniseries, more than the Dallas cliffhanger conclusion, Who Shot JR.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the most watched television broadcast until 2010.
Jesus. What beat it?
The Super Bowl for 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, boring. Like, who gives a shit?
Boring as shit. Who gives a shit?
Who gives a
Certainly
shit?
not me.
Some fucking football game 11 years ago? Eat my farts.
Yes. Yeah, and I even like football, but I still don't care.
Wait, what did you say?
Super Bowl.
126 million?
Yeah, something like that.
121.6.
Yeah.
Any NBC executive would kill
Oh, yeah.
to get half of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like if a show now gets 1 million viewers, it's like, this is a hit. It's like 1 million
Yeah.
people will watch this on Hulu within 5 days.
Oh, God, what was it? I was just going to say, what was it that there was some comment that was being made about a show? Fuck, I'm not even going to remember it, but it was like behind the scenes at a studio, and they were like, well, it's from the past, like the 90s or something, and they're like, well, if we can, like as long as we can get 25 million viewers, then we'll be doing, or something like that. And now these days you get like 7 million maybe.
I think that was a BoJack joke.
Was it?
Yeah, I think that was a
it?
BoJack joke.
Okay, yeah,
That
I
was
was trying
like
to
they were
remember.
talking about the pilot for Horsing Around or something.
Yes, and they're yeah, because Herb is like, if we only need to get like 20 million viewers, or like it'll be fine. And now these days, it's the joke is that you don't get that kind of viewership anymore at all.
Yeah, I think it was with it must have been. I watched Search Party earlier this year.
Oh yeah.
The now HBO series.
Yeah.
Formerly, I'm spacing on what network it was, but I think like per
TBS,
season.
I want to say.
That might be right. But I remember like looking into it. I'm like, oh, kind of like what happened with this. I was just trying to like, I don't know, see what happened. I just want to double check something. That's right. Yes. Each episode got 500,000 viewers. There are TikToks with better traction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I definitely watch YouTube's and follow YouTubers that get more views than that, like for just doing nothing.
Yeah. And that, by the way, not a dig on Search Party, which I think is a phenomenal television
No,
program.
I've heard it's a really good show.
It is. I'd highly recommend it. But the point being, like, it just, I mean, and not that that's a particularly popular show at all, but I mean, the point being just the market is so fractured. There's so many channels, so many streaming services. People aren't watching live together in unison. A show could get those kind of numbers eventually over its entire run in syndication, but not on the night of.
No, I think the only thing that I watch live-ish is a friend of mine will stream 4 episodes of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on Monday nights. And that is the closest I get to watching a live television show.
Which all still counts as one view.
Yeah. On, like, VRV, because it's just one person streaming it. That's probably
Piracy
illegal.
is cultural preservation. I'm not judging.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the idea of like anything being, this has been a bit of a tangent, but like the idea of anything being as much of a cultural zeitgeist as that is just, it's gone in the wind.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is the oldest show we've covered. Granted, we've only covered, 6, 7? This is number 7.
This is the 7th one.
Yeah. We've only covered 7 shows. This is the oldest by far, by like 20 years. Yeah.
At least.
That record was priorly held by the Larry Sanders Show, which starts late 80s, maybe early 90.
Okay, so this is maybe like 10 years older. Not too much.
Yeah, at least 15. This is also maybe next to Superstore, the most sitcom-y. This episode specifically.
Yeah.
Again, of what we've covered so far, because this is an extreme like farcical plot. This is literally like this is like a 2 dates to the prom kind of kind of plot.
Absolutely.
Your two dates to the prom, and one of them is a nun that runs an orphanage, and the other is the U.S. military's budget.
Yeah, that's a great summary of this episode. So just make up an imaginary friend. It's fine.
Yeah. No, like, I love a fucking scam. I love, like, the military was just gonna spend that money on bullets or some weird shit or some MK Ultra bullshit that just, psychologically damaged a bunch of people for no reason. Just waste their money. Like, give the money to the orphans. It's fine.
I also really, really loved how brazen they were about it. They just truly did not care at all that they were just completely lying through their teeth. And as the lies had to become more and more elaborate, there was never a moral question. There was never a should we be doing this kind of question. No, it was just like, well, how are we going to get it past him now? Now he's asking these questions. Now we've got to make Tuttle exist this way until they killed him.
I mean, the only answer sometimes is death.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I knew that that's where it had to be going.
Oh yeah,
there's nowhere else it could have gone. So I was kind of bracing for it, and I was like, how is this going to be handled? But it was pretty fantastic.
Yeah,
because they can't transfer him over to a new camp because then a new guy never shows up there.
Yeah,
so he's got to die.
Yeah. For
the listener, the context. At the end of this episode, which, it's available on Hulu. I highly encourage you to check it out yourself. But at the end of this episode, they've basically created this kind of elaborate net of paperwork, including this surgeon's intake forms and where he went to medical school in Berlin and all that.
Berlinisch or Polytechnical or something like that. Like, they just made up a school in Germany.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they did. Berlinisch. Because they didn't want it to be something that they could actually look into.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you can't put Harvard. They're going to look into that. So, and they made him a real dreamboat, too.
Yeah, something for the ladies.
Multiple and the men. Yeah. Multiple characters fall in love with him.
It's true.
Old Ferret Face almost had a crush on him.
But yes, they manufacture a bunch of paperwork. Multiple people who are in on the joke pretend to have just spoken with him or are about to go talk to him. Multiple people who are not in on the joke claim to have just spoken to him or are about to talk to him. They've called
that's psychology, baby.
Yeah. They've called corporate, so to speak, in the form of the general and confirmed his location. Like, it is, except for the fact that no one has seen this individual, it is like locked in that he exists, based off of anecdotes and paperwork and all that. Mm-hmm. It's revealed. Hawkeye manufactures it so that the surgeon has not gotten paid in the last 14 months. An army colonel arrives with like a huge fat envelope full of back pay, apologizing for what he presumes is a clerical error. They're then informed that, Captain Tuttle actually donated all of that to the orphanage that they were delivering to at the beginning of the episode. The same said general rolls back out, intending to present an award to this character, Captain Tuttle, only to find out that he has died in action while he was attempting to jump out of a helicopter to do some field surgery. He jumped with everything a doctor needs, his plasma, his backpack, everything but his parachute.
I mean, I guess when you're that pretty and you're so altruistic, there's got to be something wrong with you. I guess he was just a little dim.
It's, it's like the John Hamm's hot doctor character in 30 Rock who loses both of his hands because he was
yes.
waving and standing outside of and standing like underneath a helicopter blades.
Mm-hmm.
God, I forgot about that.
30 Rock is extremely bad, but also when the jokes are good, the jokes are very good.
I'm Dr. Leo Spicillin.
Exactly. Yeah. God.
Armed, I guess, with only the dog tags of the fallen Captain Tuttle, Hawkeye has to give a eulogy, saying, like, a little bit of Tuttle exists in all of us. In fact, you could say, many of us made Tuttle up.
No, many of us made up Tuttle.
Made up Tuttle. There we go.
Made up Tuttle. Which is honestly probably my favorite joke of the episode.
It's probably the only joke that got a laugh out of me.
Yeah.
Really, I found it funnier than that.
I become obstinate when there is a laugh track, and then I refuse to laugh if there's a laugh track. I
hear you.
Don't know why. I'm just like, no, you won't tell me what's funny. I'll figure it out on my own, the hard way.
I'm prone to suggestions, so.
Yeah, I mean, I did think it was funny. A lot of parts were funny, but that was by far my favorite bit they did. In fact, you could say we all made up Tuttle.
I like Alan Alda's eye roll right before that when he's asked to do the eulogy. It's just a long, expressive arc of an eye roll as he locks his head into a different position, realizing he has to make some stuff up about a dude that doesn't exist.
Yep.
Yeah, but no, it's a simpler type of comedy. It's I say simpler not in a derogatory sense, but it's just let's not pretend that exact kind of miscommunication game of telephone, people corroborating a story that aren't involved on the joke in the first place doesn't get repeated or hasn't been repeated for decades prior and won't be repeated for decades since. That is a tried and true formula. That's like vaudeville sketch comedy. Yeah, I don't know. You got a laugh out of me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It.
No, I think
I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to enjoy it.
Yeah,
I came into this I'm not sure about this, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, sitting down and actually paying attention to an episode of MASH is something that I probably haven't done in 20 years or so. And so sitting down and paying attention to this episode was like, oh no, this is why I enjoy the show. This is why my parents like the show. This is why the show stayed on for so long. And for first season episode, this was what, 1 out of 24 episodes? Do they even make shows with 24 episodes a season anymore?
Yeah,
16
they do.
Usually. But yeah.
I feel like Superstore might be one of those rare ones that they do 22 per. Maybe?
Well, I mean, I guess it's who produced it, because Netflix is a standard 13 these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's truly whether or not it's meant for live or streaming platform.
Yeah, no, just like a mid first season episode. I feel so much the expectation with TV now is the middle episode of the first season. It's probably going to be episode 5 or 6. You're still not going to have any fucking clue who any of these characters are. You're not going to know their names. You're not going to know anything about them. You're still going to be trying to figure out anyone's relationship to each other. But yeah, just this episode, it seemed fully formed as far as the characters go.
I agree. It was a really, really good one for that.
Yeah, I found it very, very charming, very easy to connect to. I do like TV from this era. I don't have a broad range of expertise of the early 1970s, but I mean, obviously I like Star Trek. I was a huge fan of Get Smart for a number of years. I kind of like this more simplistic comedy. I don't know how else to describe it. That's a bad way to describe it. More sketch comedy ish.
Well, and
sitcoms.
This episode I think was a little bit different because it was just the A plot. A lot of MASH episodes will have A, B, and C plots going on, and the more kind of sitcom style, how honestly more sitcoms are now. I guess I don't know the history of it, but definitely The Simpsons does that with an A, B, and C plot. And, I guess other shows did too, because I remember, there were Golden Girls episodes that had A, B, and C plots. And same for, Dick Van Dyke and I Love Lucy and stuff like that too. But yeah, this was just a single plot line through the whole episode, or single story through the whole episode. There wasn't, side quests and stuff. It really was just, the 5 main, actors of this series. You didn't see any of the other folks that are in the cast list from being on the show that time, or at that time.
Right. You don't see the priest.
No, you don't see Father Mulcahy. You don't see Klinger at all. Yeah, you basically just see Hawkeye, Hot Lips, Trapper John, Henry Blank, Frank Burns, and Radar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely a transition point where like sitcom writing has to become more complicated, because as I think of like all of those like mainstay 90s shows, Frasier and Seinfeld both came up in this, that they do kind of necessitate two plots, whereas that doesn't seem to be the case with, as we just mentioned, Get Smart and like MASH and all that. Like those are very...
I mean, there are a lot of MASH episodes that have A, B, and C plots.
Sure.
This one I think is just a notable exception to that rule.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's weird to, we were talking about the tonal change in the show. It is weird to reconcile what I thought this show was based off of the one scene that always gets shared.
Yeah. And
what this episode was, which again is much lighter. And I know we talked about the tonal change as Alda became more of an... I mean, auteur theory is dead and collaborative work, yada, 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 but also literally more of an auteur project as he took a more prominent role in the writer's room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We all know the scene I'm talking about, right?
I don't think I do.
War is worse than hell?
I've never really seen a
feel
lot
like
of MASH content.
Yeah, well, this is like my only point of reference prior to a couple days ago.
Well, you had more than I did then.
So yeah, this is a scene from... I'm trying to see if there's a season number, but apparently it's a conversation during surgery. So it's in the operating room. Hawkeye states, "War isn't hell. War is war, and hell is hell. And of the two, war is a whole lot worse." The priest asks, "How do you figure that, Hawkeye?" "Easy, Father. Tell me, who goes to hell?" "Sinners, I believe." "Exactly. There are no innocent bystanders in hell. War is chock full of them. Little kids, cripples, old ladies. In fact, except for some of the brass, almost everyone involved is an innocent bystander." I feel like I see that shared as YouTube videos, as like GIF sets on Tumblr, or image sets. I feel like I've seen that prior to a couple days ago.
Yeah. No, it's like, and that's just like a one-off like line in the OR from like a later series or season of MASH. But yeah, I don't remember what season that's from as far as that goes. Oh, season 5, episode 20, The General's Practitioner. That episode was written by Bert Perlusky and Larry Gelbart.
Yeah, so so as I said, I kept seeing that that shared around, and I assumed like, oh, that's like the thesis of MASH.
Yeah, that is
the way it kept being presented online. It seemed like, that's what MASH is about. It's like that kind of satire. It's that kind of like introspective black comedy.
Yeah, and then you also see that it's parodied in like half a little bit in Futurama, where they're like some robot is doing surgery, I want to say, and they turn the dial from like funny to maudlin, black comedy. But I do not remember what exactly the bit is there. But it's like, one of the robot soap opera things.
Oh, okay. I think that I do remember that now that you mention it. That does ring a bell.
Yeah, I mean, that joke sounds funny in and of itself, so. So yeah, interesting contrast between what I presumed the show was, and it sounds like it is in later seasons, and what this episode was. I was not expecting such a lighthearted, satirical romp. I was not expecting farce comedy.
Yeah, no, like
well,
that's,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I absolutely did.
No,
do we want to talk about do we want to talk about the weird fate of this show, and specifically what attempted to come after it?
Oh, you mean after MASH?
Yeah, after MASH.
Literally also, after MASH.
Also, Wastrix, Asterix, Lastrix, Tastrix, Eastrix, Rastrix, by which I mean Walter, which was the attempted, two attempted spin-offs. A vision so bold not even Cheers could manage it.
I mean, I think, didn't Cheers manage that with...
It did.
Yeah.
With Wings and Frasier.
Yeah.
That's true. I used to love Wings when I was a kid.
I loved Frasier as an adult.
I never watched either of those until I was an adult. Oh, After MASH was one of the spin-offs that they tried to make happen. After MASH.
But when did it occur?
Post MASH.
Yeah, after MASH and Walter were two attempted Looks like one. Hold up. Let me double check my details here.
Aftermath was 2 seasons.
They made 2 seasons of that? Holy shit.
Yeah.
So that actually went to air. Walter
Okay.
was made and then never purchased by the network. Walter was purely a pilot, starring Gary Burkhoff, so Radar O'Reilly, in which it's literally just him. He is no longer going by his nickname, and he is no longer in the Korean War. Which means, unless you are an enormous fan of that character on a conceptual level, you have nothing from MASH to enjoy.
Yeah. Wow.
So very much actually a Frasier situation in which take one character, transplant them into a location that is not the preceding location,
That's so interesting.
take away their, I guess, relation to that community, and try to
Sure.
make them stand on their own.
Wow. Okay. Also, reading about Walter, so much of Radar's character is that he's from some dipshit farm in Iowa, and so then the pilot is like he went to Iowa, failed at farming, sold all the livestock, moved his mom off to live with his aunt, and then moves to St. Louis. Like, they just don't do anything with this that sounds like, this man-child beloved character. They're like, no, we're just gonna get rid of all the stuff that people liked about this dude, and put him in St. Louis for no reason. Right.
So just give Gary Burkhoff a new show.
Yeah. Wait, Victoria Jackson was in that. Sorry. I'm looking at the Wikipedia for Walter, and Victoria Jackson was in this show.
Well, how about that?
Wow. Amazing. Sorry.
No, it just feels so weird to like try to force a tangential connection MASH when it just sounds like, okay, so you just want to make a new show involving this guy.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
right.
it is very much like the Frasier standard that you were talking about earlier.
Right. Yeah,
Like
just give this actor who you already like.
Yeah.
I know you like the character too, but clearly
We're going to get
the
rid of
only thing staying
everything
over.
that
Yeah.
you like about this character and put this guy in a town you don't give half a shit about.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see why that maybe wasn't as successful as they had hoped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very weird that all right, okay. It came out in 1984, so after the show was over.
Yeah.
And then After MASH ran for 2 seasons and follows
Mind blowing.
Klinger, Colonel Sherman T. Potter, and the priest. I don't know how to say that last name, but I'm not going to try.
Oh, Mulcahy.
Yeah, I'm Irish, so
Mulcahy.
you'd think I'd know that.
Oh,
But
I
don't.
only know how to say the name because I've watched so much of the show.
3 characters that are prominent, but not.
Not the main.
I don't know what's the
Yeah,
equivalent
yeah.
of that. If they just did like a George and Kramer spin-off show.
Yeah,
Like-
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know, like kind
Yeah.
of. You're closer. You're closer to. Because look, the thing with MASH seems to not just be the situation they're in, but also their relationships to each other. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
these long-running sitcoms work best. Is that it's not just situational comedy; it's community comedy,
Yeah.
and that like it matters that these 2 characters are these 2 or 3 or as a community characters are connected. Which is why people, fucking love these huge ensemble shows like Community and Parks and Rec and The Office and all that. And then sitcoms in which there's like 1 or 2 more main characters. I mean, I'm not going to say people don't like those, but like I think it's a harder sell when they're non-ensemble.
Yeah. Because then it's like especially for After MASH, like reading the synopsis of the first season, it just sounds like it should have just been a miniseries. Like, it should have been like a 5-episode miniseries, because it sounds like each episode follows different, like, secondary or tertiary character, and what are they up to now? Like,
Yeah.
the fucking psychiatrist that nobody cared about, that was in, like, maybe 4 episodes? Like, maybe don't build a whole episode, like, thing on him.
Yeah, it reads like an anthology, which seems like a very weird choice.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, it does kind of remind me of like. I don't know if any of y'all were cool, but I, being not cool, used to read a lot of like Star Wars Expanded Universe books in like the late '90s or so, and so a lot of this kind of it does feel like tertiary character anthologies where it's just like this guy was in the thing for like 10 minutes over the course of 3 movies, and I guess I'm gonna read 4 books about them. Alright, that's fun. Cool.
Mm-hmm. No, unironically, like the Qui-Gon Chronicles or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not the first Infinity Break show upon which those books have come up. Come up on at least 2 other programs. Yeah, but I mean, I guess that's like also the logical narrative conclusion to this kind of show is like the war's over, everyone scatters back to their hometowns.
Yeah.
Because like what's the other option? The next war? Like,
yeah, so I guess that should have been a good indication that maybe this wouldn't work in a different setting.
Yeah.
Maybe this lightning in a bottle should just stay where it's at and just don't. But, they got to make that money, though. So you got to try.
Money. Well, and so, doing some more kind of research about MASH, it looks like everyone really kind of felt like they had run out of ideas towards the middle of the 9th season, but the studio was like, can we just give you guys a 10th season and then an abbreviated 11th season to just wrap it all up? We will give you buckets of money. And I was like, well,
wow,
hard to say no to buckets of money, because this was still making a shit ton of money for CBS the whole time.
Uh-huh.
And so obviously had enough popularity that its finale could go out with 126 million watching.
What? Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where we're like, yeah, you don't see a lot from these other actors in their like post-MASH career necessarily, but also like them residual checks, those will deposit and those will cash.
Yeah.
And you can live very nice, I'm extremely sure, on that MASH money.
Because stuff like this, as we've discussed, airs on TV Land and TBS forever.
Yeah, no, you probably get a few good checks every month from that stuff. I don't actually know how residuals work. I actually don't know anything about that of the spectrum. I am glancing over at the Mike Farrell, who played BJ Honeycutt, Wikipedia page, because just seeing what he did after MASH, and it looks like he appeared with Jella Biafra and Keith Gordon in a bunch of anti-Iraqi war documentaries.
Well, that is some Mad Lib shit right there.
On brand.
And also attempted to convince Republican electors to block Trump from becoming president.
Good for him.
Yeah, no,
Good for him. He's like the anti-Kelsey Grammer then.
Yeah, just the balancing that out.
We were talking about like, oh, these are people's credits. These people are known from MASH, and I'm realizing, yes, absolutely true. But also I'm realizing like, oh, I guess also not a lot of 70s television is like properly archived as well. And that unless you were the hit, like Wayne Rogers did do 57 episodes, which is like a season less than he did on MASH, on a show called House Calls. Wayne Rogers, who plays Trapper. On a show called House Calls, in which he was the main character. He did that right after he left MASH. But like, on CBS even, so even on the same network. But like, because obviously it doesn't have the cultural staying power, and therefore probably wasn't ran on TV Land indefinitely, we don't know about it.
Yeah.
To say that was like their only credits is a little bit unfair, but like, something has to be sufficiently big for it to still be relevant to our ears 40, 50 years later.
Well, and I think that's always been kind of the thing about TV in general, is you can make a lot more TV than you can make, movies, just because of the time and the moving parts of it. And so it's possible to have like, a good long television career, just showing up, doing bits and pieces here and there, in like, TV movies when those were a thing, and like weird shows like The Love Boat and Supernatural and stuff like that. I mean,
hell, looking at Alda, literally just scrolling down, I just see a bunch of like 3 to 6 episode runs and a bunch of television films.
Yeah.
Interspersed throughout the 70s, 80s, and early 2000s.
Yeah.
Most recently, 8 episodes on Ray Donovan. One more technical note about this show, and then I think we can move on to final jokes and get on out of here. I did notice, like, this is a show that came out during the Vietnam War, about the Korean War, which means it benefited from having last generation's war technology, which I think, kind of allowed them to have such like realistic and such like detailed sets, is because like they were just pulling from all of this now defunct technology and defunct uniforms, that they could probably get en masse from military surplus providers. I just think that's interesting that they can have those like those complicated switchboards and those complicated like tents and barracks and cots and uniforms and all that kind of stuff from a war that had at the start of this show been over 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did notice that the aesthetic of this show was just very monotone. It was just very gritty and very it was an interesting backdrop for the zany hijinks that were occurring within the context of the show.
That's so interesting that you could see that. I couldn't see anything behind all that camouflage. No, it reminds me of one of the first film classes I ever took was in my middle school or whatever. We watched a film that was called Sergeant York, which was absolutely a World War II military propaganda film. Mm-hmm. Very much about like how this like Kentucky farm boy, becomes the hero of World War One. And very much the same thing of like, oh, we'll look at all this 20 years defunct military technology that we're able to make this World War One, propaganda film for World War II. It's, I don't know, it's just a very, ever since I that class, which I guess I took when I was like 14 or whatever, like I have always kind of thought about like, oh, I guess, where do they get all this like specialized equipment? The answer now is that the Department of Defense will give it to you. You just have to be nice about the military. But for something like this, I fully believe that they could have successfully gotten a bunch of old Korean War tech. Without maybe necessarily needing to involve the government.
Yeah, I mean, you could have gotten a lot of, like, the tents and stuff from just military surplus. But also, like, I don't know a lot about Korea or the geography therein, but I have, watched things that are set in Korea, and the geography, like, in kind of, like, rural countryside Korea doesn't look like, MASH the show, and it is because MASH was filmed in Calabasas, outside of LA, and then the indoor stuff was at a regular soundstage studio. On the Wikipedia page, there's like lists of actual like helicopter and Jeep model numbers and stuff, but it's like, a Willys Jeep was basically, the same thing from the 1950s, military-wise, like, until the 70s. Like, you could have just gotten some military surplus, decommissioned stuff from, like, a dude. Anything, I think, oh gosh, I don't remember what the code was, or what the thing was, but, like, there was some thing where you couldn't produce a movie or television or film or whatever about the military without getting the U.S. military to sign off on it. And so, that's, that kind of led to the balance that they had to take with the show, where you could be critical, but you couldn't be too critical. And there was, like, integration stuff shown in, like, in the pilot episode. There was a very unfortunately named black person that was in the same tent as the main boys at the time. It was only in, I want to say, the first episode of MASH, and it's like a lot more like integration as far as like racial stuff goes than was actually like allowable in the military at the time, and that's probably to make them look good.
Yeah, I guess so. Right. The first fully integrated units were during the Korean War. That's right. I think so. Yeah. So fascinating to view it through that lens, especially that they're the changes that they've implemented as part of a propaganda piece. As critical as it is, it's still, our good old boys over there, fighting the fight. But also viewing it through the lens of it being reporting backwards on the previous international conflict that we were a part of. Yeah, fascinating stuff. Folks, do we want to talk about our favorite jokes?
We already did.
Oh, well, I hadn't said mine. I liked the Reformed Druid joke.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the tree. Yeah, the tree doctor.
It was like they're allowed to worship bushes.
Mm-hmm. He's a Reformed Druid. They're allowed to worship
Reformed
bushes.
Druid. That's right. That was a good one. That was a good one. I have to say, Rachel, I know that you said that you have an aversion to laugh tracks, that you laugh when you want to, damn it, and nobody will tell you what to do. But I absolutely did laugh at that joke. I definitely did.
I think it got a solid chuckle out of me, in spite of myself. But also, like, the fucking reason it became Alan Alda's show is because he's really good at delivering those, like, shitty Groucho Marxy, like, one-liner lines and selling it. Like, it's very hard to sell just a real of a pun as, like, a sincere joke. And he's good at that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. One line from my notes that I hadn't said yet is that it's a very, like, ornery comedy.
Yeah.
Like, he's like a comedy anti-hero or whatever. I don't know how else to describe that. It's like a very kind of, like, dry, biting tone that his character has specifically.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell that is, like, what the fake guys from Oh Hello are trying to be. Is they're trying to be, like, clever and funny and sell the way that Alan Alda is able to be clever and funny and sell.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. So much tuna.
So, folks, let's wrap this up. Let's go ahead and do our various outros. And actually, new question, and I feel a little silly for never implementing this earlier. As you're listing your names and social medias and where other people can find you, tell us what you've been watching.
What I have been watching is Star Trek Picard. I know I'm late to that game, but it's one of those things where it's like, well, let me look at the Star Treks to see if I'm, like, missing out on something before my, like, free trial of the Paramount Plus expires. And it's like, no, actually I do like this definitely Star Trek miniseries that feels like a TNG movie, but I also like a TNG movie. But yeah, that's the main thing I've been watching. And then, let's see, watching Superstore, which also just, had its series finale a couple 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but I'm not caught up to it.
Yeah, and then also the terrible show that I love the most, The Masked Singer.
Oh, my mom loves that show.
It's not good. I don't recommend it.
That's okay. We all watch things that are not good.
I cannot sell it to people. I do not want them to purchase it. A lot of, like, there's horrible, like, the panelists, with the exception of Ken Jeong and Nicole Schlesinger, the other two panelists are Jenny McCarthy and the Blurred Lines guy, and they're not funny or interesting or decent. They do have Niecy Nash hosting the season, which is
I will watch her do anything.
Yeah, I would watch her butter fucking toast. Like, she's amazing, and she's, like, funny and has great timing.
Have you ever watched Claws?
No, I have not. I have been meaning to watch that.
Just because it's so good.
Good. She's so good at that kind of, like, because she's just very, like, clever with how she says and phrases things, and, like, the way she's able to, like, move her body and, like, act physically is extremely good. And
Claws is like it's like Florida dirtbag Sopranos. It's so good.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah,
it's so great.
No, because, like,
I'm just saying, if you love Niecy Nash,
yeah. Well, and, like, like a lot of chumps, I first started watching her in Reno 911. Is like, oh no, she's amazing, and then she, like, hosts a bunch of HGTV shit. And I was like, oh, she's really good at this too. And I was like the way that she's able to, like, comport herself in, like, these very disparate kind of things, like, you've got a lot of range and you should be in everything.
I agree.
Do you have any social media you want to plug? Or...
Yeah. My Twitter is Rachel VC. THE, the article the letter C. Because despite joining Twitter very early, my full name is always taken.
So it goes. Lesley, where can people find you, and what have you been watching?
People can find me at Vanetti as usual, VANETTI. I have lately been watching. Man, why are you gonna be asking me this today of all days? So I am doing my perennial rewatch of the Gilmore Girls. I will rewatch Gilmore Girls once every few years, and I'll watch the entire thing. And while I'm watching it, I'll think to myself, why did I ever stop watching this? This is the only show I've ever cared about in my life. And then I'll finish it and I'll be like, okay, and then I'll just not think about it for 3 or 4 more years. And so the cycle continues. And so I am currently deep in my I've never cared about any other show phase, and but I only have like 2 seasons left. So I'm just very deep in my rewatch, my comfort Gilmore Girls rewatch. But aside from Gilmore Girls, I also am a huge fan of the reality show where they make the swords. Forged in Fire is my shit. I fucking love that show. I will watch that show.
It will kill.
It will kill. I love that show so much. And so, for every Masked Singer, there's also a Forged in Fire. I'm not ashamed.
No,
I've
definitely watched Forged in Fire. There's a lot more of it on Hulu than there is on Netflix.
You are correct.
Yeah. No. It's like my problem with Forged in Fire is sometimes you'll watch a thing and be like, yeah, this guy looks a little too racist for me to want to root for him.
Yeah, I feel like this contestant might be a little sus.
Yeah, you just get like a vibe, and it's not necessarily like the guy wearing like the rune necklace and the utila kilt is not necessarily the signal of being the probably racist one. Right. That could just be a Ren Fair dad. Who knows?
There are a lot of Ren Fair dads on there too, though. I also enjoy the kind of branch off that they did where they have the Beat the Judges one.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's so good. The contestant will try and beat one of the judges in making a weapon. It's good times. It's also on Hulu. Anyway, that's what I've been watching.
Folks, you can find me online at Ben C. Hamlin. That is BenChamlin over on Twitter.com. In addition to that, you can check out my other show, Parascience, an exploration of the supernatural and unquantifiable, a tabletop horror podcast that comes out every other Tuesday right here on InfinityBreak.net. I have been watching, and Lesley, you know this, Lodge 49.
Yes.
The 2 seasons recently enough canceled, AMC show about Long Beach, California, and a fraternal order that operates out of Long Beach,
I love that
California.
show so much.
I know you do.
I love that show so much.
I'm 75% the way through. So a season and a half, unfortunately, because there's only 2 seasons of the show. Hoping to finish it soon. In addition to that, I am making up for a cultural black hole from my childhood, and I am finally watching for the first time The Simpsons.
Yes, I think I saw you tweeting about that.
Yes,
the other day.
I tweeted somebody to the effect of, "I understand your jokes and references now."
Very nice.
I quite literally just passed the I just think it's neat Marge Simpson potato shot.
No,
so I understand all of your jokes and references now.
No, there's so many old Simpsons episodes that will still make me cry in a weird way. Like Lisa's substitute hits me in the fucking gut every time.
Or that one episode where Bart gets the snow day.
Yes, or the episode where Bart is in France for some reason and just feels abandoned and left behind and abused. I
don't remember that one.
Yeah.
The Bart Snow Day one I watched this morning.
I love that one. That's one of my favorites. He's like, but I really tried. And you're just like,
yeah.
Oh, Bart.
Yeah, I figured I could not ethically do a television podcast without having seen at least some of The Simpsons, a television program I was not allowed to watch as a wee child because it was not God-honoring. So, I'm playing catch-up. Anyway, just wanted to share that, obviously. You can check out all of our work at InfinityBreak.net, where we're telling stories our own way. tabletop podcast and media analysis shows, both available there at infinitybreak.net. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/infinitybreak where you can donate to us for as little as $1 a month. I think that covers about everything. Rachel, it was absolute blast having you on the show and talking to you about
It was
MASH.
so fun.
Yeah, no.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank y'all for having me. It was fun to be here and talk about a show that I deeply love and don't want to revisit and think about too hard.
That's so great. Thank you so much. We had an absolute blast.
Yeah.
All right, folks, this has been Syndicated with Lesley and Ben. See you in 2 weeks' time for another show.
See ya.